Hello and welcome to the Watering Hole. Thanks for checking out this clip. Don't forget to like and subscribe because that'll make the baby Jesus cry, and I know how much you guys love making the baby Jesus cry. Let's get to some tweets. Okay, speaking of porn, Biblical and Reformed says porn ruins lives. Okay, consider my life thoroughly ruined then, I guess, but I'm pretty happy with it. I'm pretty happy with how my life turned out, but apparently it's ruined because, like, porn.
I'm doing better now than I have been in before, and I think porn's fine.
Yeah, no,
okay. I'm just very confused.
Yeah. But then this person replies with, "Yep, my dad's porn addiction ruined mine." Now, okay.
How?
Okay, so with the preface that if you stumble upon pornography before you are mentally able to process that sort of thing, yeah, that can be psychologically damaging. I can see that. Fine. But he goes on to say, I was exposed long before I knew what sex was. It distorted my view of sexuality and led to many other addictions.
I
can see it being traumatizing, but not like life-ruining.
This feels like somebody wanting to... I don't know their life story. I have no idea. But this feels like somebody trying to blame literally anything in the world on their disposition but themselves and their own habits. I could be very wrong. Addiction is in and of itself its own disease. But that's what this sounds like to me.
Addiction isn't really a thing. It's like the sex addiction thing. Like, no, this is just people that don't want to take responsibility for their actions.
But Jesus Christ.
Whatever. That was just something to laugh at. But we're going to get to... Frank Turek says, if God exists and he came to save...
hold on. Before you continue, I have to ask a question.
Okay.
Is this going to be a tweets checklist where there's going to be a Turek, there's going to be a Sorbo, there's going to be a...
There's no Sorbo.
Wait. How? How is there not Sorbo this time?
Because there's transformed wife this time.
How have you blessed them?
Because I went down other rabbit holes, Cyrus. The papers weren't the only rabbit hole. We've got some Laurie Alexander coming up at the end that, like, holy shit, like, just caught her red-handed in a lie.
All right, then let's continue. We're not doing tweets bingo.
Okay. So Frank Turek says, either God exists and he came to save us, or he didn't. False dichotomy much, like maybe God exists and he did not come to save us. Maybe God didn't exist. Maybe many gods exist. Like, there's lots of options here.
This assumes only the creator, savior, deity.
Yeah, there's a lot of options.
Christianity.
There's a lot of options that don't fall within this dichotomy. Now, if he did come to save us, then what could be more important than that? It depends what he's saving us from. Is he saving us from what he's going to do to us if we don't suck his dick?
Yes.
Like, that seems like the kind of thing that he could have just decided not to do in the first place. Like, why is salvation necessary? Could he not just be like, hey, you know what? God is love. God loves you. God is not willing that any should perish. I think that's in the book of 1 Peter. I might be wrong on that. But that's where I think it is. So if he's not willing that any should perish, and yet, according to Jesus, most people will go to hell, then that means one of two things. Either the Bible is not inerrant, and so God is willing that most people should perish, in the sense that perish means go to hell, or God's not omnipotent, so he can't stop people from perishing. I know they always bring up the free will thing there, but like, there's nothing in the Bible that actually says that God gave us free will. On the contrary, there's several spots where God violates people's free will explicitly.
When he hardened the Pharaoh's heart, for one.
Yeah, that's the obvious example.
When
he lied to people and like deceived them through prophets, by giving commands so that they would do bad things, so that he could then come and say, "Ha, you did these bad things that I told you to do."
Didn't Jesus literally have to tell the disciples, "Hey, some of the stuff I say is actually lies, and it's on you to figure out which ones are not"?
I don't recall that.
Like, there was I remember there being a moment where, like, he was giving some lesson,
There,
and one of the disciples go like, I feel like that one might have been wrong. Like, yes, that one was wrong because I told it to that person. I don't remember the exact story where that happened though.
I think you might have that a little bit off. I don't recall anything like that. And
I
feel like
do.
I feel like that's the kind of thing that I would have been on top of. Like, what have I been doing for the last 7 years if I don't know that one? No, Jesus does say, "Bring my enemies before me and slaughter them before me." But that's a parable, so it doesn't count. Even though in the parable, like, the person that the enemies are being slaughtered before is a stand-in for God. So, like, it doesn't make it better.
I'm also going to say that if God is saying a parable, it might as well just be gospel. Because he's God. Like, within the context of the Christian mythos,
yeah.
If God says a thing, it doesn't matter if it's hyperbole or parable anymore. You're hearing a thing from God. What are you going to do? How, I don't think God meant it quite like that. And I'm like, man, that doesn't sound like the safe option.
If only God could fucking clarify what he meant by stuff.
No. He's not the author of confusion. You don't understand.
But he created evil.
Well, it does say that in Isaiah, yes. But that's besides the point.
I like how we could both sit here and just like quote conflicting Bible verses at each other.
I have a feeling we've been doing this for far too long.
Yeah. Steve, I don't know what conversation's going on in my chat, but Steve Weber says Andromeda showcases the best of Sorbo's acting chops, i.e. no acting. Like, I never got through Andromeda. I could never get into it because everything is so wooden.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
I need to finally sit down because I got through the first season of Star Trek Next Generation, and then life decided, hey, here's 1,000 other things you need to be doing.
You know what? And if you got through the first season, it gets so much better from there.
Oh, like, I know.
Like if I'm talking to someone who's new to Trek and like they want like good Trek, and you're like, okay, just skip season 1. Like it's a syndicated show. Everything went back to normal at the end. Very few things like developed, and they didn't do very many callbacks. So like get into it starting on season 2, and then when they do bring back the crystal entity, you can go back and watch episode 1. Okay, when they do bring back Q, you can go back and watch again. That's episode 1.
Season 1 had plenty of stuff that I did like, though. Like just as a joke, hearing Data go, "Oh, I am fully functional."
Okay, yeah, that was
sorry.
That was pretty fun. But again, that's episode 1. Episode 1 was good. The rest of it was shit.
I thought that was like 4.
No, was it 4? Wasn't that the one with Q? No, that okay, yeah, no, that was the one with the disease. Okay.
Yeah, it was the disease that made everybody horny.
Yes. Yeah, but no, like season 1 they were still figuring things out. Like Brent Spiner hadn't figured out that no emotions did not mean depressed. So like Data's just sad through the whole thing. It's like, why is Data sad? He's supposed to not feel anything. Brent Spiner, like the growth that he went through as an actor, like I don't know if this is acting or directing that is responsible for this, but like he got so good over the course of that show, and he's such a great actor now. Like he can, like the way he can transition between like playing Data and playing like any other Data adjacent character is just, it's amazing. I love it. He's probably one of the best actors on the show, I'd say. Like Patrick Stewart and him are probably like near the top, whereas like everybody else is kind of like a character actor. This is the character that they play.
Yeah, no, that I've seen the Data scenes from the Picard series, and I'm like, oh,
the Doctor in Independence Day. Yes, that was Brent Spiner too. I love it.
So that was episode 2 or 3 for the drunk disease. Okay, but it's not episode 1 is what matters.
Yeah, no, that's because I was just going with episode 1 examples because that's the one that I remember the most from my childhood is the trial with Q. I don't even remember. No, that wasn't even the crystalline entity, was it? That was the weird space jellyfish.
Yeah.
Okay, so fuck that. Like whatever.
But everything with Q in season 1 is great.
It was cute. Well, because John Delancey is fucking amazing.
There's a reason why in My Little Pony they had him play Discord, and they just went, "Hey,
yes,
we just need you to play Q again.
Yes,
that's all we want you to do is play Q."
Love John, and he's an atheist too.
Neat.
He's fucking amazing. Anyway, moving on. Father Casey. Oh my god. Speaking of the Catholic Church.
I don't know this person, actually.
You don't know him?
I don't know Father Casey, no.
So I did a response video to him, and he spends like a good 45 seconds at the beginning of the video just like sitting down and straightening his Jawa costume and like dusting off his shoulder and stuff. And he's like, why the fuck are you wasting my time with this? And then he, like, in part of the video, he's like, I don't want to waste anyone's time. It's like, then why did you spend 45 fucking seconds sitting there like adjusting your outfit on like, you can cut that out if you don't want to waste our time. I know you know how to edit.
I don't want to waste your time, but believe you me, I'm going to enjoy doing it now that I'm here.
That, for those of you wondering, on my main channel, Vice Rhino, that is, I believe it's called something along the lines of "Time Wasting Priest Doesn't Want to Waste Your Time." But anyway, he's a Catholic priest, and he says, 7 years ago, I had the worst experience of a priest. Shameful what I witnessed. Last month, I had an experience that rivaled it. Saddening to see this level of disregard for people. Yesterday, I realized it was the same person, and that's oddly comforting. Now,
wait,
being a fucking Catholic priest...
one of those moments, you need to actually tell us what the fuck the things are.
Yeah, no. So, knowing what the Catholic Church is known for, what I'm assuming here, until Father Casey tells us otherwise, is that he had a fellow priest confess to him that he sexually abused children, and he now has to keep that as a secret because the Catholic fucking Church doesn't care about kids. They care about protecting their image and protecting the sanctity of the confessional.
This is okay. So I know you haven't read the Dresden Files, but I unironically now really, really like how the Dresden Files portray the Catholic Church, because like they're portrayed as allies for a good bit of the story, and then spoilers for people who haven't read the books. There's one side story where an assassin is hired to fucking kill Dresden, and they're hired by the church that has been working with him for fucking years. And when he confronts his one contact in the Catholic Church, the dude's just like, I can't tell you about that. It's outside of my ability. I'm not allowed to. And everybody just starts piling on the priest, and they're just like, no, you can fucking tell us. Your church doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Come home, Cardinal Pell.
Yeah, no, it's just like, you can't, as a Catholic priest, you can't say something like this and not expect us to think that it's got something to do with raping kids. Yeah. Because that's what fucking Catholic priests are known for.
Like, the reason why when somebody says we may have a minor problem, you say, I'm not Catholic enough for that.
God.
The sadness.
Next tweet. Joey, okay, we're getting Chick-fil-A again. This is Joey Manarino. Says, we have a problem. Chick-fil-A just hired, by just hired, he means 2 years,
2 years ago,
a VP of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. This is bad. Very bad. I don't want to have to boycott. Are we going to have to boycott?
Oh my God, how married are you to that fucking chicken sandwich that you have to go, God, my pearls, I have to clutch them. I don't want to have to boycott, but I'm gonna do it. Jesus Christ. Just go get a different chicken sandwich. It's okay.
Yeah, KFC exists. One at home.
Like, KFC has a chicken sandwich. Popeyes has one. Fucking Zaxby's has one. The Zaxby's one's actually really good. You have options. The McDonald's one is garbage.
So people say the Chick-fil-A sandwiches are garbage. I don't know. I've never eaten at Chick-fil-A. Like, I've only had a very limited number of opportunities for that. And yeah, first off, fried chicken is not my default option. Like, if I have just an option for like a normal burger, I'll go for that over the chicken sandwich. But like, even if it's the only option, knowing what I know about the company, I'm just going to go find something else. So like, there's so many other places to get a chicken sandwich.
I will say, so like when you're in the South, sometimes there are places where like the only safe thing to eat is the Chick-fil-A. Like, you'll go to the McDonald's and like, oh, this is a gamble. And then you go to the Chick-fil-A and like, okay.
The only places I've been where like Chick-fil-A's ever been like a significant option has been like airports.
Mm-hmm.
And they also usually have other options.
Well, yeah, because airports typically have like 10 or 15 things plunked in the middle. This is like, you're driving in the middle of nowhere and you come up to like the gas station combination restaurant, and it's either a Chick-fil-A, an Arby's, or a McDonald's, and sometimes a Subway. Like, and usually that's the only thing for the next 10 or 20 miles.
There was a Tim Hortons in the Baltimore airport.
Really?
Yeah.
I've actually never been to Tim Hortons.
Yeah.
I've never been there.
It's not great, but I mean, it's
Well,
kind of Canadian tradition. So, like, we're in Baltimore. I don't know what all these strange American restaurants are, so we go to the Tim Hortons.
Fair. I was gonna say the only real factor that separates a Chick-fil-A sandwich from anything else
Fusel
is
says
that they brine their chicken.
Sorry.
in pickle juice.
Fusel says, why I left the church? Well, the sitting, standing, and kneeling was too exhausting. I simply told the priest to pick a position and stick with it.
Jesus Christ.
Swiss Chalet is fucking... No, Swiss Chalet is terrible, man. Like, their chicken's so fucking dry. Like, they rely on the fact that everybody loves their sauce. I'm not a big fan of their sauce, so I'm not a fan of their chicken because, like, I don't like the sauce. The chicken's dry.
Oh, that's
what am I going to do?
Like Cane's. Cane's is the same thing where, like,
it's
the chicken itself sucks.
So it's not fried chicken. It's like rotisserie chicken.
Okay. I feel like rotisserie chicken shouldn't be anywhere near dry, though, because you're slow cooking it.
Yeah, well, Swiss Chalet manages it.
How?
I don't know.
Okay.
It fucking sucks. I hate Swiss Chalet.
Jesus.
So many better places to go. Why would you go to Swiss Chalet is usually tied in with a Harvey's. Harvey's is like the good fast food place. I would rather go to Harvey's and have one of their like flame grilled overpriced burgers than their fucking fried chicken. And like if I go to Swiss Chalet, I end up getting the ribs, and the ribs are still bad. Like, how do you fuck up ribs? Ribs are so easy, but the ribs are bad. Like, the ribs are dry.
Put them on a grill and walk away.
But at least the sauce that they give you with the ribs tastes good. So, like, that's why if I end up at Swiss Chalet with a group of people, I get the ribs because the sauce is actually good for the ribs. The ribs are not good, but the sauce is okay.
But I mean, that just runs you into the same problem again. Like, if the food sucks but the sauce is okay,
then you can drown the food in the okay sauce.
Okay, again, I live in the South. I'm used to like places that call themselves country's best barbecue, and it's like the most tasteless pork just thrown in a really sweet barbecue sauce.
Okay, Creamy the Axolotl is saying Cirrus has to go to Tim's at least once. Like, no, you don't. Like, everybody says, like, I don't know what the obsession is with Tim's. It's just a place to get donuts and coffee. Their coffee's like, I'm not a coffee drinker, but from what I've heard, their coffee is mediocre. I know the brand of, so everybody thinks I'm a tea drinker because I like my Earl Grey tea in the morning. So I end up getting like Christmas presents and stuff that are like these teas for me to try. And I was like, well, it's not Earl Grey, so I'm not going to try it. Tim Hortons Earl Grey, it's shit. Like, whatever brand they use, it's garbage. I don't like it, so I don't drink the tea at Tim Hortons. I just like get my donuts there. Might get a hot chocolate if I'm there. But like, yeah, no, you don't have to go to Tim Hortons. It's fine.
This all came up because somebody said that we needed to freak out about Chick-fil-A.
Yeah.
We don't have to freak out about Chick-fil-A.
We're not very good at staying on topic, are we?
We're not. I want to blame you for being so excited, but I also am playing a video game while doing this, so this is actually partially my fault too.
All right. Plow King says tea, Earl Grey, hot, to bring it back to Next Generation. Like, absolutely. That was actually like one of the 2 times I've had Tim Hortons Earl Grey was when I went through the drive-thru and like there's a little box there and I just say tea, Earl Grey, hot. And then they don't get the reference and I got my tea, Earl Grey, hot. And it was bad because it's Tim Hortons.
Jesus Christ. What do we have next?
H3 Bomb Diggity says DEI initiatives are Marxist tools to socially force equal outcomes. These are required to achieve good social credit scores for world banks, one step closer to a one world government. So like how does hiring a diversity, equity, and inclusion vice president facilitate the goal of workers owning the means of production?
There's 1,000 steps that would need to be taken before you can get to that, and none of them have anything to do with hiring a VP of diversity.
No.
Jesus Christ.
I just thought this was funny. I thought it was funny that they're calling it Marxist, that they hired a VP of diversity.
Of course they're going to call it Marxist. That's one of their calling cards of like, I don't like this thing, therefore it's Marxism.
They don't know what Marxism is.
You got that one person he glanced at the Communist Manifesto and a copy of Capital on a shelf, and he's just like, I get it. I'm gonna make a response video.
Yeah. And then Matt Wallace says Bud Light going out of business is inevitable, along with a picture of a grocery store that has like 2 shelves of beer empty and then a bunch of Bud Light that has either just been restocked or nobody has bought.
So the beers that are in the unstocked section, those are areas, because I used to work in retail. Those are areas that are bought by individual companies or by one company so they can put a bunch of different products on. But usually there's only about 2 facings of any individual product on there. And then there are your, Miller Lights, your Bud Lights, your giant stocks of things that they know will sell. So they have a lot of shelf space. You go down the soda aisle. How many, specialty sodas do you see versus how many Coca-Colas do you see? There's a certain amount of shelf space that is bought because they know stuff is going to be sold. So when you look at this image, all it tells me is this store knows that they sell a lot of Bud Light and a little of all of the other products, and the 2 to 4 boxes of other products that were in those areas are sold, as evidenced by the fact that there are multiple. And if there are multiple price tags there that are closer together than the price tags are for the Bud Lights.
Yeah. And well, I mean, you can see they have nothing but Bud Light for like a whole section, but then like there's only like there's that red beer and then the blue and white one, and like there's 3 different beers within like a tiny minuscule portion, which says to me that the people that are stocking the shelves know that Bud Light sells quicker than the ones that they're giving smaller shelf space to.
And if we're in a Walmart, this is what happens when you are given a modular 2 set.
But here's the thing, like Bud Light is owned by Anheuser-Busch, which owns like half the beer.
Yeah.
They're not going,
which means they're selling the other ones too.
They're not going out of business. I literally, like, their stock went down. I bought stock in Bud now because I'm pretty sure it's going to go up at some point, because eventually these people will get tired of their boycott and they'll just go back to their habit and buy their Bud Light because it's fucking cheap. It's cheap. You think I buy Blue Moon because it tastes good? Like, no, it's just a cheap beer that tastes less bad than the other cheap beers, in my opinion.
I do not remember what the name of it was, but do you remember the like patriotic beer alternative to Bud Light that was advertised by that one dude that was like, hey, they've gone woke, they don't even know which bathroom to go in, get my beer, a beer that knows where you're supposed to be. Like, I don't remember what the whole fucking pitch was, but turns out that dude who made the entire
sponsored by Anheuser-Busch.
What's up?
Sponsored by Anheuser-Busch.
So not sponsored. It's that the brewing company that he was trying to get to actually make his beer, I think it was based in, I can't remember which state it was based in, but in the state he was basing it in, there are only 2 major brew companies that can take care of that, and one of them is Anheuser-Busch. So it was higher likelihood than not that he was going to have to go through Anheuser-Busch anyways to get his beer made. People, they don't think. Fennec the Rabbit says, didn't it flop? I don't know. I never did a follow-up on that video. I just kind of farted it out and went, this is funny to make fun of, I'm going to move on with my life, which I think most people did.
So Drew Harrison says, I'm all for boycotting Anheuser-Busch, not for being trans positive, though. For fuck's sake, these morons are too funny. Yeah, the thing is, they're not trans positive. They have issued an official apology for that.
Yep.
And people have been fired over that. So, like, they've given in to the conservatives, and the conservatives are still boycotting them because they don't know what the fuck a boycott is supposed to do. Like, you've gotten what you want. Now you're supposed to buy the Bud Light.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, companies are going to be like, okay, well, there's no point in giving in to them. We're just going to keep peddling to the LGBTQ people because they'll at least not. Yeah, Target caved too. Yeah,
Target caved. But the Target caving
I think the
thing,
Target caving depends on the location.
it does depend on the location and Target. So I covered the Target thing yesterday, and the funny thing about the Target caving is that they haven't actually done anything yet. They've released a statement that they are going to remove some LGBTQ or Pride products from their shelves, but they're not specific on which ones, which locations they'll be removing them in, and in what timeline they're going to be removing them. My guess is most of those products are going to be up during Pride Month, and then they're going to, quietly
Yeah,
move
they're
them
going to
out
remove
afterwards.
them after Pride Month because that's what they do after every Pride Month. So that
Yeah.
we are going to remove them.
That's my guess. I could be wrong there, but then again, I lost brain cells covering the Trump's nephew rap-ish music video called "Targeting Your Kids." I for some reason I thought combining that and the actual analysis of the Target thing into one video was a good idea, and no, I feel like I would have I would have lost fewer brain cells had I actually just drunk a fuck ton of beer.
Okay, let's move on. Oh, this one's fun.
Oh, is this where the HOA shit has been coming from? I've been seeing this in my feed.
Yes, so Nick Huber says, thank God for HOA rules, people wanting to grow veggies in their front yards, leaving trees untrimmed, not getting weed control treatments, parking dumb shit like trailers, boats, and RVs in driveways. It's your own driveway. Why should you not be able to...
Why does any of that fucking matter? Why
Anyway,
do any of those things matter?
Forget it, Cyrus. It doesn't matter. It doesn't fucking matter. Because someone pointed out that this is the same person that a while ago went viral for posting this thing. You don't understand scale. You use $50 to buy 10 tomato plants. In 6 months, you have 250 tomatoes. Plant those into 250 plants. 6 months, you have 6,250 plants, etc., etc. Eventually, you end up at 3.9 million tomato plants, and you sell them for $1 each.
So where do you plant them, and how do you account
Yeah,
for waste?
no, so the guy who says people want to grow veggies in their front yards also advocates for growing veggies in your front yards to become a millionaire.
I think
So
I might hate
Adam
this
Broughton
man.
says I buy mostly craft beers these days. There's a pretty good one where I live. Muskoka Brewery's stuff is decent too. The problem with craft breweries, so I am not actually that, like, again, same with tea. I'm not much of a beer drinker. So, like, I'm not into the whole, like, oh, I want to experience the whole flavor profiles. Like, no, just give me a bit of alcohol in a palatable form. I don't need the fancy schmancy, make it taste, it doesn't taste good. It tastes sophisticated, I guess. Like, that's why I drink Blue Moon, because it's easy to drink and it gets you drunk. So, like, yeah, and so that's why I tend to avoid the craft breweries as well, because they tend to, like, their whole thing is like, oh, we want to, make it a sophisticated flavor or whatever for you to appreciate. And it's like, well, no, I don't want to appreciate a sophisticated flavor. I just want to get drunk. I want a little buzz. I want to feel a little bit dizzy. That's what I'm after here.
I'm here to avoid thinking about things.
Anyway,
not think about things more.
I just thought it was funny that the don't grow, like, people shouldn't want to grow veggies in their front yard guy is the same guy that says you should grow millions of tomato plants in your front yard. And speaking of people being inconsistent here, we've got Lori Alexander.
Yeah, we got to where you said we were going to get, and
these
suddenly
are
I'm still sad.
The last ones. So she says, I'm sure you've all seen this by this point. It's not new. She says, my youngest daughter attended the local university for 2 years while living at home. My husband thought she could get her degree even though she had no career aspirations, which that's kind of sad on its own. He's changed his mind about this now, however. One professor gave her an assignment to write a paper on gay bathroom sex. My husband called him. She was kicked out of class because she refused to comply. Imagine if she didn't have a father to go and fight this battle. This was 14 years ago. I can't imagine what they're teaching kids these days. Their purpose is to corrupt our children. Don't let them. So this has been making the rounds on Twitter recently, and I was like, this is a fucking old tweet. I remember this from ages ago. Why is this just making the rounds now? And then I said, it's like, oh, May 25th, 2023? Okay. Has she tweeted about this before? Because I remember this. I remember this story from ages ago. So you search for things that she's tweeted, And you get, my daughter lived at home while she attended a 1 year at a local university. She was asked to do a paper on gay sex in bathrooms. My husband called the professor. She had to drop out of the class. I'm sure universities are even more depraved now than they were 10 years ago. May 21st, 2021.
Same tweet.
It's not the same tweet, Cirrus. Side-by-side comparison. Because I went deep. I went deep this week, Cirrus. I went deep.
So instead
you're going to
of
appreciate
1 year,
my
it's
depth.
2 years.
Yeah, so they attended the local university for 2 years in the new tweet, but it was only 1 year in the old one. She write a paper on gay bathroom sex. That one stayed consistent. She had to drop out of the class in the old one, but in the new one, she was kicked out of the class. And it was
it's the same structure.
And in 2023, it was 14 years ago, and in 2021, it was 10 years ago. So yeah, no, that doesn't add up.
Also, this is her college-aged daughter. Think of what they're teaching the kids these days.
Yeah.
That's
you mean young adults these days?
Because if we're asking ourselves what are we teaching the young adults these days, the answer is who the fuck cares? They're young adults.
Yeah. All right, so that's it for the tweets. So many twits. A paper on gay bathroom sex? I almost want to take that class, whatever it's about. Yeah.
Can it just be about gay bathroom sex?
That would be a great class.
All right, today we're going to be doing hands-on learning.
Ooh. All right. Thank you so much for joining me, everybody. It's time for me to go, though. So, as always, fuck off.